Welcome to another Witcher lore video, guys. So I was considering what video to make today, and I thought it'd actually be quite fun to make a Witcher characters video, and I was looking at all the characters that I could make videos on, and then I saw a suggestion from this user, and thought that this would actually be a really good video to make, as this character is really interesting, and we hear a lot about them in the games, but they don't actually go into this character that much in the games at all. So I've decided to make today's video on Falka. So to begin this video, let me discuss some basic information on this character. The infamous Falka was the eldest daughter of King Wrydank, who at the time of having her was Redania's king, and she was also the daughter of King Wrydank's first wife, Beatrix of Covia. Falka was thought to actually have been quite beautiful, as she was described as looking more elven than even her mother, and obviously a human being described as more elven in the Witch universe is just basically an implication that that person is beautiful. Her hair has also been described as black. The name Falka comes from the Elder speech, Gvalchka, which can actually be translated to Falcon. Falka had two half-brothers, Heltmert and Denhard, and one adoptive sister, Rhiannon. Her nationality is also Redanian, however her mother is from Covia. She's also a member of the Redanian dynasty, and due to this, holds the title of Princess of Redania. After her rebellion, she earned the alias of Bloody Falka. Now I'm going to move on to her story. The story of Falka begins when the King of Redania, King Wrydank, met his first wife, Beatrix of Covia. They had a child together, that child being Falka. However, whilst Falka was only 1 year old, King Wrydank fell in love with the beautiful Ciri, causing him to quickly divorce Beatrix and send both her and his daughter. Falka was forgotten, and this is actually what caused the rebellion, as it made Falka very angry, as she believed that as the eldest daughter of King Wrydank, the throne of Redania was rightly hers. So, 25 years later, she began her rebellion. It is also important to note that this rebellion began 3 years after the marriage of the then Prince of Temeria, Goidmar, and Rhiannon, daughter of Lara Doran and Creganan of Lod. The rebellion itself was infamous, and during its time, Falka not only killed her father, but also her two half-brothers, Heltmert and Denhard, and her stepmother, Queen Ciri. Some say she killed all of them with her own hands. During this rebellion, the now pregnant Rhiannon was also captured by accident and then imprisoned by Falka's rebels in Hautborg Castle. Whilst in prison, Rhiannon gave birth to two children who also happened to be twins, and these children were known as Fiona and Amavet. However, it is possible that one of these children may have been known as Adela, and I'll get into that later on. So after being confined in this castle and giving birth to these children, Rhiannon became insane. This is where things get kind of interesting and link into Falka a lot more, as around about the same time of these children's birth, Falka also gave birth to a child of her own. But because she was waging war, she left the child in the care of the mad Rhiannon and left to continue her war. Shortly after leaving her child, Falka was caught, tried, and condemned to burn at the stake, and according to legend, whilst being burnt alive, Falka stated, "An avenger shall be born from my own blood. From the defiled elder blood, a destroyer of nations and worlds will rise. He shall avenge my torment, death, death, and revenge upon you and your offspring." And that was the end of Falka, but not the end of her child, because just as a bit of interesting information surrounding the children, because after Falka was killed, King Goidmar raided the castle and retrieved the three children, but he was unsure as to which two of the children were his. So, he called mages to help, and the mages told him that they could not identify Falkas Child, so all three were raised together. The mages, however, lied to the king that Adela was Falka's, but wanted to avoid the scandal of the king executing a 2-year-old, so didn't tell him that they knew Adela was Falka's. Interestingly enough, Adela died of the Catriona plague, as when a major outbreak happened, she decided to help priests in a hospital, as the priests were obviously trying to deal with the plague as best they could. She then died from catching it. After her death, King Goidmar visited this hospital and named it Adela. So despite what Falka said or did, her daughter was still kind. However, the reason I've been a bit apprehensive about referring to Falkas Child as Adela is because it's still kind of all up in the air, and it's never actually been confirmed. Because it is worth noting that a character from the books known as Fen did later suggest that Fiona, who was thought to be Rhiannon's daughter, was actually Falka's, which would therefore make Falka the ancestor of Ciri. However, it is still unknown due to information from Francesca Finderbear, so it is not entirely clear who Falkas Child was, but it's most likely Adela, but yet again, we don't actually know for sure, which makes it kind of interesting. And finally, another interesting point is that Ciri used Falka as an alias in the books, and this was while she was traveling as a member of the Rats. This alias seemed to stem from a strange experience that Ciri had, and this was whilst Ciri was in the Korath Desert, when after tapping into fire as a source for using magic, Falka appeared before Ciri. This event did actually cause Ciri to cut herself off from magic entirely, or at least the sort of magic that you see mages and sorceresses use, such as say Triss or Yennefer. Ciri's only current magical abilities are that of the Elder Blood, not the other magic abilities she actually had early on in the books. And I think it's quite interesting that Falka actually appeared to Ciri. Obviously it could have just been some sort of illusion, but perhaps it's an indication that she is actually the ancestor of Ciri. Anyway guys, that's the end of today's video. I hope you've all enjoyed. This video is really fun to make. I think Falka's a really interesting character, and actually a fairly big part of the Witcher lore. She's mentioned quite a lot in the games and the books, so honestly, I'm quite happy to cover this character in today's video. As always guys, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like the video as it does actually help out the channel quite a lot, and it's very, very kind of you to do, so thank you to every single one of you that likes the video, as it really does help out the channel, and it supports me, so thank you to every single one of you that does that. If this is the first video you're finding on my channel, I do Witcher lore videos every few days, I do Witcher gameplay, I plan to do some Elder Scrolls stuff soon, I do Witcher Netflix stuff whenever anything like that comes out, so if you want to make sure you don't miss any of those videos, I'd recommend subscribing to me, as then you'll get the videos in your subscription box and you won't miss them. So thank you to every single one of you that subscribes. As always, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I do updates on there whenever anything interesting is happening, be it to do with the Witcher Netflix, just stuff going on with me, or the videos, and I also post them on there, so it's pretty much a second chance if you don't want to miss the videos, as sometimes YouTube doesn't send them to subscription boxes, so at least you'll get them on there. So thank you to every single one of you that does that. It's very kind of you. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch. I do live streams on there whenever I can. I've got a schedule that I've been trying to keep to. I've been very busy recently, and I hope to get back to it. So if you want to make sure you don't miss those streams when I do go live, be sure to go and follow me on there. I appreciate every single one of you doing that. Thank you all so much. And also, one thing I wanted to mention quickly is that I actually have a Reddit now. It's a link in the description along with all the other stuff I talk about in this outro. But if you want to join that, post whatever you want in that Reddit as long as it follows the rules. That'd be really cool. So thank you to every single one of you that joins the Reddit. And finally, as always, a big thank you to the Patreon pledges. You guys are honestly amazing. It's very kind what you do. I want to say thank you to every single one of you that donates to me on Patreon. It's honestly just such a kind thing that you all do, and it really helps out the channel. I'm glad to put all of these names at the end of the videos, and you're all just honestly amazing. Thank you to every single one of you that donates to me on Patreon. Anyway guys, I hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome rest of the week.